The Irish Premier Series, in association with Dunboyne Castle, Delco and Urban Images.
Race.
Here we go to the grid then for the Stryker race, and on pole position is current champion Tristan Quinn, but that young woman Sonia Files that we saw earlier in the interview, she's on the outside of the front row, so qualifying very well. You see her there in the yellow car, making a demon start though off the line is Mark Willis in the green car there on the outside. Tristan Quinn holding the inside line. Sonia Files not being edged out there. She's holding on to her position very well. She's just lost it as they come through the second part of that corner through the left-hander. Sonia Files dropping down into third. We go on board with Alan Orbrick from further back the field to give us an idea of the activity up in front. Alan Orbrick currently running in 7th position, and for the youngster who just came into motorsport last year, that's a very, very strong position for him. Good qualifying position, of course, son of Peter Orbrick, who's also racing in this series. Mark Willis then coming through, being followed there by Sonia Files in second. Meanwhile, up the road ahead of them, you can see that Tristan Quinn has pulled out a little bit of a gap. Nothing too yawning at this stage, but quite a distance yet to go in this Stryker race. These wonderful little hand-built cars, some of them running at 1800cc engines, some of them running at 1600 cc's for the newcomers or novice racers. Alan Watkins is another of those red cars, and he's running currently in 5th place, charging down Andy Dalton. Well, this could be a great battle between those two, as Alan Watkins there close up behind Andy Dalton. I think there may well have been a slight exchange of paint on that particular corner. Here come the race leaders through then, headed by Tristan Quinn, Mark Willis in second, Sonia Files there in third. Then that good battle between Alan Watkins and Andy Dalton further back. Dalton running in 4th, Watkins is in 5th. They come down the main straight here at Mondello Park. Conditions look almost perfect for racing this weekend. Tristan Quinn holding the inside line there, with Mark Willis, the youngster, trying to make it round the outside. And Mark Willis has got through. He's got ahead of Tristan Quinn. Well, a classic Mondello Park manoeuvre that, as he just teed him up on the run up to turn 1 and then sliced through on the inside as they come through the second part of that. Alan Orbrick, meanwhile, trying to make his way through from further back the grid. We get a good action shot here of on board with Alan Orbrick as we come up the hill into Ireland.ie corner. Beginning to close up now at the front of the field, and Sonia Files there in third, really putting on the pressure. She goes out wide as they come to Dunlop. She tries to flick through on the inside. She's left the door open there for Andy Dalton, but she carried enough pace through the corner which enabled her to hold on to that third place. And in the background you can see that Alan Watkins has now got somebody else to play with further back there, and that has allowed Andy Dalton off the hook, at least for the moment. Through the left-hander, and it looks like Tristan Quinn in the exact same spot that it was done to him. He has retaken that place from Mark Willis. Sonia Files also in there with a very strong run around the outside. You can see from the onboard shot up in front, she tries to make it around the outside, then flicks to the inside. Some great driving here from Sonia Files. We're on board with Alan Watkins now as we close up on the back end of Andy Dalton's car. Andy running a little bit wide in the black Havilland Stryker there. Back down the main straight they come. And at this time, Mark Willis has got back into the lead. So it's Mark Willis now from Tristan Quinn. There's Willis in your shot, that distinctive green car. Tristan Quinn dropping back a little bit further. Now running in 3rd place, Alan Orbrick then further back, gives us the view up the road from his car. Beautiful conditions here at Mondello Park this weekend. These Strykers really are a superb little sports car, very, very popular, racing in Ireland now for almost 10 years, and certainly proving to be extremely reliable and very, very quick little machines here around Mondello Park. Now we got Sonia Files there up into 2nd place behind Mark Willis. Then you got Andy Dalton running in third. Then Alan Watkins is in fourth. Tristan Quinn at this stage has dropped down to fifth, but will no doubt be working to make a comeback as Alan Watkins now puts in a challenge, looking for that third place, but Andy Dalton comes across, defends the line. Now Watkins looks for the outside line. Can he get a slingshot around there and perhaps take him on the inside through the left-hander? Oh, he just tags Andy Dalton there. Just Alan Watkins just catching the back end of Andy Dalton's car, spinning him around. Meanwhile, Tristan Quinn, you can see now, that has improved his position, I think, to fourth. So he's trying to close up yet another spot as he closes in on Damien Roddy. But Damien Roddy is not for budging, and he's going to defend that stoutly. He goes to the outside on the run up to Ireland.ie, then flicks to the inside. Tristan Quinn gets a wheel alongside him. Great manoeuvre from Tristan Quinn round the outside, but that's the long way round. Damien Roddy will leave him hang out there. No way through that time. Roddy now defending the inside line as they go up to Dunlop. We're on board with Alan Watkins, who's now in third place. You can see the race leader, Mark Willis, up the road ahead of Sonia Files, who's in second. Followed now by Alan Watkins, who's in third. We go on board with Alan Watkins. And he seems to be closing that gap all the time. He's having a great run here in this lap. Mark Willis, meanwhile, staying ahead of Sonia Files. While Mark Willis was one of the nominees for Driver of the Year last year, for Young Irish Driver of the Year last year, and I understand that he's just been nominated again as a finalist in the Irish Driver of the Year for 2007, so that's really good news for him. Further back the field, you can see car number 14 there, Joey Blackman from Portugal, getting ahead of Roger Welleratney from Castle, County Clare. County Limerick, some people call it, but I think in fact it is County Clare. Meanwhile, we go back on board with Alan Orbrick. Get a good view here of the main straight at Mondello Park. Alan Orbrick now trying to close up that gap. Getting a fair amount of protestation from the tyres on that little Stryker. Out the country. This time it's another one of the red cars. This time it's Alan Watkins that we go on board with, and Alan Watkins running in third place. You can see Sonia Files up the road ahead of him, keeping a good gap between herself and Alan Watkins. And further on up you have the race leader then, Mark Willis. But these youngsters having a great race out here. Lots of other battles happening further back through the field, and that's typical of Stryker Racing. Number 90 going through your shot just then was Des Bruton. Alan Orbrick really having a torrid enough time there. Loses out a couple of spots all in the one corner there. But battles back again down the inside this time. Has a look as they come up the hill, under braking into Dunlop, and that's if you can get yourself on the inside there, you really do stand a very good chance of getting through. While all that action was going on further back the field, our onboard cameraman Alan Watkins is now beginning to get the work over from Tristan Quinn. We go on board with Watkins. Still no sign of Tristan Quinn. Watkins driving an excellent line there, keeping nice and tight on the inside, not leaving the door open. He's dropping back now. You can see he's driving on his mirrors. He takes the odd glance in the rear view mirror, just make sure he hasn't got the current or the 2006 champion too close to him. More of the action happening further back the field. And again, Tristan Quinn has a go this time round the outside, goes very far out there, and the purpose in that is he's trying to get a slingshot through on the inside, through the second part of that corner. Alan Orbrick, meanwhile, newcomer to Stryker Racing, has lost out quite a substantial number of spots now, dropping back through the field, not having the best of races today, though he really was a revelation when he came on the scene originally in 2006. Coming back at it now, getting the second wind. Working hard to keep that car pointing in a straight line. Meanwhile, Mark Willis goes through ahead of Sonia Files, and both of those now have opened up a substantial gap back to the battling Alan Watkins. Mark Willis coming through there in that distinctive green car, comes down the main straight. He's up to take the checker flag. He's taken the win. Sonia Files comes home in second. And what a great run from Mark Willis that was. Absolute textbook stuff. Comes up to take the win.
Mark Willis, your first win at Mondello Park. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, and I hope there's many more to come, so it should be good.
And tell me about the race. Did you find it hard?
Yeah, it was tough. I was panicking a bit when I saw everyone all over my back, but I just slowed them all up and trying to keep them behind me, so it was good.
And the result of the Stryker race then, Mark Willis the winner, Sonia Files second, and Alan Watkins third.
The Irish Premier Series in association with Dunboyne Castle, Delco and Urban Images.
Hi and welcome to Irish Premier Motor Racing here at Mondello Park. We've got the high-performance Stryker Sportscars. Now, it's a little bit dull and dark here at Mondello, but hopefully the drivers can bring a little bit of sunshine to the grid.
You're behind the resurgence of the Stryker class for the last couple of years. You have some fantastic grids at the moment.
We have, Matt. I mean, myself and Andy Dalton and Damien Roddy are on the committee of the class, and we've got our numbers up from sort of 10, 11, and now we're in the mid-20s with 22, 23 out today, which is great.
So it'd be fair to say then, Des, that the Strykers are really the premier Irish sports car class.
Oh, undoubtedly. I mean, we're a fairly budget class. The cars are all the same, other than the engine and the two classes. The tyres are one type of tyre, so there's no wets and slicks and all this kind of stuff. Most of the stuff is standard on the car, so they're pretty reliable. And the racing is close, but there's not much damage, usually.
So Stryker time at Mondello Park, and as Des told us, a packed grid. We're on board there with Mark Roach. Here we are looking back from Damien Roddy. There goes 88, Damien Roddy away from pole position. Good start from him with the danger man on the outside. Indeed, already has taken the lead. His reigning champion, Tristan Quinn. So Quinn leads now down into Honda corner. And look at this great grid of Haviland Strykers going around the first corner. A lot of them very sideways. Watch out for that there rear wheel drive, front engine, classic layout. Very much a sideways motor car. And Quinn getting the head down there to that off-camber turn. He's just been resurfaced at Mondello Park, and the track producing some very quick lap times as a result. Looking back at Damien Roddy, that's young Mark Willis, very promising young driver right behind him in that lurid green car. And he's going very, very well, particularly in the Phoenix Park last year. Great result from him. And he's climbing all over the inside curve there at turn 3 in his efforts to stay with Roddy. But Roddy getting on the power a little bit quicker that time, pulling away. But quicker than both of these early stages is that car of Tristan Quinn right out in front. And in fact, we've got a very quick starter. This Sonia Files, watch out for her locking in inside wheel there on the way into the S's. And some of the other cars streaming through. Great grid, and some of the novices just moving around, cars drifting all over the place. But already a good lead in these early stages for our leader. Second place Roddy, third place Willis. Leader locking a wheel, always a sign of driver is really trying there on the approach to Dunlop corner. That looks like possibly David Walsh. Indeed it is David Walsh, right from 10th on grid. And newcomer there, that yellow car going through. Number 3, great start from him and a great first lap. He's been playing just down the road, but not a name we've heard that much of. There's Watkins now and Des Bruton, and they're contacted there. Des, the man promoting the series. They could almost shake hands, but I don't think they'll feel like that at the moment. Des gets away a little bit quicker than the black car. Now we're on board with one of our Portuguese drivers, Walter Fernandes, and a great study of how to drive these cars. Cars all over the place, spinning on the outside, the inside, and he's side by side with another competitor now through turn 2. That's a hairy corner side by side. It's hard enough when you're on your own grabbing for it. The engine doesn't sound 100%, not pulling too well. Unusual in Strykers, they're very reliable cars. Normally, with that car, doesn't sound 100% there from the inboard camera. Here comes Roddy now. He's a little bit closer, 88. Damien Roddy didn't come up to motor racing the normal way. He came from auto testing, which is a very accessible branch of motorsport and gives drivers great car control. Of course, Michael Cullen was an auto tester in the early stages of his career, and now Roddy really trying hard. And you can see Quinn knows he's got a quick guy behind him, flicking to the inside as soon as he comes out of the S's to defend the line into the Dunlop corner. Willis, a little bit of a lonely race in third place for him, number 72, but he'll be glad if he can hang on to that for the podium. Then it's that sensation, number 3, David Walsh. As we said, we haven't heard from this guy before. He started 10th on the grid and he's running in 4th place, so a great performance. That's the yellow car just coming into the picture now with the black nose on the front. And then it's Sonia Files, number 27. Sonia didn't lick it off the stones, they say. A great motor racing family. We're on board now with Mark Roach. This is a great angle. We can actually see him working with the way of the wheel and very sideways there. Bits of Strykers all over the track, and he's having great fun there in the midfield. Here's our leader now, just getting the apex, coming up out of turn 3 and heading back towards the main arena. Roddy trying everything he can, but just hanging on, not really being able to challenge at this stage of the race. Similarly, Willis holding on to these guys, but hasn't got the pace to get up there and have a real go with them. I think Sonia Files is probably the one on the move. There's number 90. Des Bruton now, number 5, James Marford Longford right with him, so Des coming back up through the field, and just look how hard our leader is pushing. Certainly it's not a walk in the park for him today. Again locking wheels, it does look like a man under pressure. Maybe Roddy is working this well and has got him rattled, because certainly he'll overheat his mirrors if he keeps this up. He's going out over curbs, locking wheels. Looks more like a qualifying lap than the mid stages of a Haviland Stryker race. Waved yellows there, we've obviously got a car in the ground, so no overtaking on that corner. 88 there, Damien Roddy, and Haviland stickers on the back of all these cars, all running Haviland lubricants. Willis in third place, getting a little bit out of shape. And back to Fernandez again, and somebody locking a wheel in front of him, and he's embroiled in a great dice there in midfield. And bodywork hanging from some of these cars again. Turn 2, here he comes, Fernandez. On board, a great shot from him, losing out just a little bit, grabbing 4th gear there on the way down too. But there's another bit of bodywork, 2 more bits of bodywork, flying in the air, so absolute Armageddon in front of him. Great battles. Roddy now trying the outside, but this is the approach to the S's. It's an off-camber corner, and it's very rare somebody makes it around the outside there. So maybe again just working over Tristan Quinn, trying to get him to make a mistake. Willis there in third place, all on his own, and on board with Roach again. Here's this battle we saw, fantastic stuff. 2 cars side by side. Roach not sure which side to go. We went to the inside, back to the outside. And these 2 cars side by side, you can look at the back end of that Stryker twitching around. Remember, rear wheel drive, front engine cars, so quite a handful to control and great to watch, as we can see. And here come the leaders again, a great battle. Roddy managing to pile the pressure on. He'll want this win. He was on pole position and absolutely delighted with that. And he won't have been too happy to be beaten away. 5 on lap 5 now as Quinn leads one more time. Remember, Quinn, our reigning champion in this class, and that car beautifully turned out as always, looking a little bit reminiscent of Alonso's title-winning Renault Formula 1 car a few years ago, certainly in terms of colours. Looking back again from Roddy as he goes through turn 2, not quite managing to get through that flat, but a little bit of debris on the track, as we said. Flat, an expression used by racing drivers, meaning no lift and no braking, and indeed no lift going on there. 2 cars swapping a little bit of paint as they head through turn 2. Back on board with Roach, and he's being really brave at turn 2. You don't really want to go all the way out there over the curbs and right out onto the rumble strips beyond the curbs. And here he comes down into turn 3 again. The cars get a little bit light here. Double apex corner. Just look at the fun these guys are having down the grid. If you want to get involved with this, www.irishstrikers.com, and you can be out on this grid. Here comes Tristan Quinn now up to Dunlop corner. A little bit of a happy gap. He'll be more relieved with this. Just a 1-car gap, but that'll do him. He'll be happy enough with that. The sensation we spoke about, number 3, David Walsh, now under pressure from Sonia Files, and that's not a nice place to be, because Sonia, a great driver and plenty of racecraft, and she's all over the back of him there, really giving him the work over on the approach to Dunlop corner, down the outside, back to the inside. She's doing the same on the way into Honda corner. Looks like she's going to have a go down the inside. The CPL Motor Factory's car, they're side by side now, heading for turn 2. Can she chop across the front? She can indeed. And no shortage of bravery there from Sonia Files. There's Mark Willis, lonely 3rd place man. Sonia Files, very side, his big twitch, had to get off the power. She might pay for that here now, side by side, heading for turn 3. And in fact, David Walsh gets that back. Great driving from this man. We haven't seen him before. I have a feeling we're going to hear a lot more from him. And Sonia would be as surprised as anyone with that. She just got a little bit out of shape. Had to lift for a fraction of a second, and that's all it takes. The racing is so close. These cars are all exactly the same. Here they come into the S again, and Sonia just looking for a gap. A little bit enthusiastic that time. Walsh, it goes wide, but Sonia doesn't manage to capitalise on it. And another car right with them. Mark Roach again going sideways. This is this battle we've been watching all through the race. And a great study of a driver working away there. You can see his elbow and his arm right in the cockpit, but just too many Strykers in front of him to make a move. He's going to have to really be opportunistic if he's going to get by these guys. Down into the S, big lift until the car settles. A little bit of oil, that's just cement dust put down to soak up an oil from an earlier race. But But he's got a good run out of the S. He needs to flick to the inside here, and he's done it. He's gone to the inside. They're side by side now, and I wonder can he make this move stick. Indeed he can. Two competitors clash. He's right down the inside. 23 Mark Roach will be absolutely delighted with that one. The Dunleary man making up 2 places in one corner. Back to our leader now, number 60. And it's Tristan Quinn down at turn 3, being very careful, turning in a little bit late that time. Roddy right on the apex going through. Here's Mark Roach. You can sense a little bit more urgency in his driving, even from the engine note of the car. He's past 2 guys he's got a taste for, and he wants to get a little bit further up, so really pushing on now. That's 23 Mark Roach. So here they come up to Dunlop corner now, and our leader there with a little bit of a bigger gap than we've seen him with before. Roddy not being able to do anything about it. Again, Willis in 3rd place, all on his own. It's like a Sunday afternoon drive for Mark Willis. Mark Roach a little bit of understeer, carrying too much speed through the second bit of the S's, and doesn't lift out of it there. Good driving from him. Down into 2nd gear at Dunlop corner, and right into that apex. That's good driving from him, up over that inside curve. And again, here's our race leader, and look how hard he's working. We're on to lap 9, and the tyres will be getting a little bit warm on these cars now, and you can see that certainly in the leader's car, because he's moving around quite a lot, Tristan Quinn, and the car beginning to drift around at the back. Roddy looking a little bit smoother at this stage of the race, but doesn't seem to be closing the gap. And looking back from Roddy, he's got nobody to worry about behind, because we can't even see Mark Willis coming up out of turn 3, and we're already halfway around the S's. So Sonia Files having a look now down the inside of David Walsh, and I think she's going to make that stick. She certainly does. Walsh deciding that he'd probably be better off not trying to sit around the outside of an off-camber corner like that. Here's the leader one more time, and Roddy's still there in 2nd place, looking back for 3rd place man, but it's a huge gap. The battle really now for 4th place in this one. So Roddy trying to haul him in, but it's not really happening for him. But again, he'll be happy with a podium, more championship positions. Lap 10 now. There we go. Leader starting one more lap, and Damien Roddy right with him. Back on board now with Walter Fernandez again. Here he is coming out of turn 1 Honda corner. He's waving somebody by, possibly on the inside. Indeed he is. That's our leader, and just look at the sideways action of Quinn. Even has time for a quick wave. A one-handed drift there from Quinn going through turn 2. Great stuff from him, and in fact Roddy didn't make it through on that occasion. And that's the same man, Fernandez, just being lapped by 3rd place man Mark Willis, number 72. Willis right out over the cars. Let's have a look at that now on board with Fernandez. There's Willis down the inside, clips the inside curb, and Fernandez trying to stay in his wheel tracks, but remember, very much a newcomer compared with these guys. There goes Willis now a little bit sideways, out onto the curb, and off in his pursuit of Roddy. First 2 again coming into the S, beginning to encounter back markers now as they head towards the S's. A lot of cars, the slower cars, just being caught at this stage of the race. Looking back from Damien Roddy's car now, and that's I think Fernandez possibly again one of the back markers there, but disappearing so fast into a small dot on the horizon as Roddy goes right out over the curbs. Here comes Tristan Quinn again, right out to the outside again, 3-4 lengths. He's probably a tenth or two quicker per lap at this stage than Roddy, and certainly being more opportunistic with the back markers than Roddy. Willis all on his own coming up the hill. Ignore that car, that's in, well, for the purposes of race results. And there they go over the start-finish line. There's Tristan Quinn. Mark Roach again on board with him. Doesn't understeer off the track this time. Gets up the hill a little bit cleaner, a little bit quicker on the brakes. Down 1 gear, down 2 gears, into 2nd gear. Turns it in and just feeds the power back on. Very smooth driving from him. Here's Tristan Quinn again, leaning the head in, trying hard. And again, Roddy not using the back markers as well as Quinn, or maybe the cards just not falling in his favour today. But certainly Roddy losing out when they came up there to lap a few back markers. So I think this race is all but over in terms of a challenge from Roddy at this stage. He'll probably nurse his car home now and be happy with a haul of championship points. Here comes Quinn now, and he has got a much bigger lead down into the S's. Again, leaning the head in characteristic Quinn style, leaning right into the left-hand side and back to the right-hand side for this flat-out bike world corner now on the approach to Dunlop. Back on board with Fernandez again this time, and here he comes up to Dunlop corner, grabs 4th gear briefly, down into 3rd gear on the brakes. We're back to the leader now. It's Tristan Quinn. Very smooth steering input from him, and heading down towards the checkered flag, and there it is, a win for Tristan Quinn in race 1 of the Haviland Strikers. Big battle, of course, for 4th place. Let's see who gets that, and it's Sonia Files up the inside, number 27. She's still holding off number 3, David Walsh, and Walsh gets a big wobbler, lock to lock, straight onto the grass, and we can see the novice cross on that car, but mark my words, we'll see a lot more of that man before the season is out. Sonia takes the 4th place. There's our winner, Tristan Quinn. 2nd place, Damien Roddy. 3rd place, Mark Willis. 4th is Sonia Files, and 5th place is Andy Dalton.
Tristan, you had a great race today. You didn't quite make pole position, but well done.
Yeah, it went well. Damien pipped me on pole. He had a great lap in qualifying, but got a good start there in the first corner. Luckily enough, got past him.
You made it up in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Damien Roddy, are you a little bit disappointed?
It's always disappointing when you're beaten off the line, but 2nd place, we're happy enough with that because the last day was a bit of a disaster, so at least we're back on the podium. Maybe shake your hand and make it look like you were happy.
Well done. Go race.
The Irish Premier Series in association with Dunboyne Castle, Delco and Urban Images.
Well, they say there's a little bit of something for everyone here in Mondello Park, including me. Look who I've just bumped into. It's Walter and Joanne from Portugal. Lads, how's it going?
Very well indeed. We've did the qualifying in the first race, and then we're hoping to have a nice second race.
Well done, well done. And tell me, you come over here like every time there's a race in Mondello?
Yes, we've been here the first time to only to practice, and yes, and we have to come every time there's a race. We'll try not to skip any of it.
Yeah. And are you sure now there's not something else bringing you over here to Mondello besides the racing?
Well, there's Guinness and.
Guinness and anything else.
And the girls are pretty as well.
The girls are pretty.
You're a nice example of it.
Thanks very much. Greg, you're outside in the front row. Are you hoping to make it up into the lead in the first corner?
Oh, definitely. I'm going to take him before the first corner. Hopefully.
Here we go, and away they go again. Greg Kelly on the outside in the front row. Tristan Quinn, winner of race 1 on pole position, and Quinn gets beaten away. It's unusual, we see that in Mondello Park. Great start there from 6 Greg Kelly. We didn't see much of him in race 1. He's going to make up for it in this one. There goes Watkins flying through it. A lot of bits and pieces being showered over the track already, but Greg Kelly pushing very hard in these early stages, trying to get away. There's number 3, the man we spoke about earlier, of course. That's David Walsh from Clane. But the battle up the front now between Kelly and Quinn, and Kelly pushing very hard. A good start from him from the outside of the front row, as we said. We didn't see much of him in the first race. He'll be happy, eager to make amends, I should say. Here's Roddy, he's right with him, and look at Quinn right down the outside. It's an off-camber corner. Doesn't make it work, but certainly challenging very, very hard. And remember, we're only halfway around lap 1, so Quinn certainly doesn't like being led, and he's having a go at Greg Kelly. Roddy giving us a great view from the onboard camera of the battling pair up front. Kelly defending heavily at Dunlop corner. Quinn going back to the outside to try and get the drive on the way out as they come down Mondello Park straight. And Quinn, very experienced, hasn't been racing that long, but certainly has developed very, very quickly into a complete package of a racing driver. Plenty of racecraft, plenty of pace, and looks like Roddy giving him the work over now. Number 88, Roddy, very late in the brakes. Willis down the inside of both of them, and Mark Willis will be hoping for a better race, or certainly a more exciting race than he had in race 1. A little bit lonely on the way to 3rd place for him, but all the strikers there streaming through, and again it's very close at the front. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars together. Sonia Files then next up, watch out for her, she'll be eager to get up there. There's number 90, Des Bruton, a man very much involved in the rebirth of this class, and he usually runs right at the front as well, perhaps not having his best day today. 6 there, Greg Kelly now still out in front. 72 Mark Willis, the young charger of the class, right in there too, and then Sonia Files, the red and yellow car, right with him. Yes, it's still Greg Kelly and still Tristan Quinn piling on the pressure now. They're heading up towards Dunlop corner. The first two a little bit of a gap back, but watch out for Quinn here. He'll have a look to the inside. There he goes, back to the outside. Really is working him over here, and he should get a good run on the way out here because he's on the ideal racing line, of course. Leader having to defend. There's Roddy now, and he's lost out just a little bit. 2 leaders side by side in front of him as they go under the Holiday in Ireland bridge there. And in fact, Kelly, it's still Kelly, but Tristan Quinn on the outside now, pushing very, very hard. There's Willis, Sonia Files, and all the rest come streaming through. That's Andy Dalton, 77, Alan Watkins right in the middle, and Watkins getting well out of shape, a little bit frustrated perhaps that he's not closer to the front. We've seen him win Stryker races before. Here's Walter Fernandez again, very brave out over the curbs there at turn 2, grabbing 4th gear and heading down towards this double apex right hand corner. The cars get a little bit nervous as you can see him on the wheel going through the first day. Then it's down to 2nd gear and try and get the power on and get up the hill, heading back towards the main arena at Mondello as quick as they can. Again, it's the first two in a gap back. Roddy still under pressure now from Willis, and Willis beginning to move around and goes to the outside. Roddy on the inside. Roddy, of course, has his car prepared by ABR just down the road, and Willis works on these cars for Alan Byrne. So I wonder are there team orders there from Alan Byrne for this third and fourth place battle. It doesn't look like it because Willis pulls out of the slipstream to have another go at Damien Roddy now. They're side by side on the brakes, but Roddy has the inside line. And in fact, Sonia Files, she certainly doesn't need a written invitation to send her Stryker down the inside of anybody on the approach to a corner. Willis lucky not to find that out the hard way that time as he was having a look around the outside. Sonia taking a lump out of the inside curve, kicking up dust. On board again with Roddy, and the leader's still going up front. Is that a new leader up front? Possibly a change. Two cars look quite familiar. I think that's Tristan Quinn's yellow car out front off camera. So Roddy certainly got a little bit closer. Maybe that manoeuvre slowed them both down a little bit. But no, it's Kelly still in front. And side by side again, that battle for third place. 72, Willis trying on the outside. Roddy being defensive. This is allowing Sonia to move right in on them. Watkins bringing up the rear of that group. But this time now he's very, very close. He's got a good run out of the S's. He goes to the inside, forces the leader to defend down the outside. I wonder can he switch back across to the inside. We've seen him do this before. Indeed he can. A classic Mondello Park manoeuvre there from reigning champion Tristan Quinn. Gets to the inside and Kelly looking over there, but there's nothing he can do. He's just been outfoxed there by the reigning champion. And Quinn gets down the inside. That is a classic Dunlop corner manoeuvre at Mondello Park. And Quinn making it look a little bit easier. I wonder can Kelly fight back. He certainly won't be too happy about that. And Roddy right with him, bringing Willis with him. We could have a 4-car battle. Here's Mark Roach again, up to Dunlop corner, down into second gear just before he turns in, and then feeds the power on as he comes out onto the main straight. There's number 5, that's James Marr from Longford, and he's battling away with number 36 there is Colin Deering from Skerries. In fact, Deering making that one, getting that move. So Walter Fernandez right with them, our camera car. There he is, looking forward at them. So that is a really good battle between these two guys. And grabbing fourth gear now, as we said, getting to some very, very quick as they head down towards turn 3. But in fact, Deering goes around, Fernandez goes with him, and that's not a nice place to go off at Mondello Park. Very high speed, no damage to the car. Might need a change of underwear after the race, but that'll be about it. And he's back on the track and ready to get racing again. Here comes our leader, and indeed 5 cars, very, very close in this one. So Quinn with a little bit of a gap, but certainly Kelly's still there, and Roddy getting out of shape there under pressure from his young teammate Mark Willis. Then Sonia Files sideways as ever right with them, and then it looks like Andy Galton next up. So first two with a little bit of a gap, but Willis will want 2 podiums today, and you can just see the hunger. You can sense it in his driving there. He doesn't want to leave a gap for 27 Sonia Files to stick her car into, so he has to be a little bit circumspect. There's Roddy again going through turn 2, using the curve on the inside and using the curve on the outside. He's pushing very hard, grabbing 4th gear now. These 1800cc Z-Tech engine cars will be well over 100 mile an hour on the approach to turn 3, and stay in top gear for the first bit, down to second for the second apex. Here they come again. Kelly beginning to close that gap a little bit, and in fact Quinn having to defend this time as they approach Dunlop corner. Kelly goes back to the outside. I wonder can he replicate Quinn's manoeuvre. I don't think so. Quinn's slowing them down at the apex, so nobody gets a run out, defending very well there on the main straight. So now it's the same 2 up front, then it's 88 Roddy in 3rd place, Willis right there. But this is a battle on for the lead now. It looks like Kelly has got the pace to fight back. Car number 6, he goes to the inside, back to the outside, which I'm not going to make it around the outside on the corner. Certainly a cleaner exit for him. Should be closer again through turn 2. On board again with Mark Roach at Dunlop corner. Doesn't quite get onto the inside curve there, but still very, very smooth. Perhaps 3rd gear on the outside. Be looking for 4th gear somewhere around the start-finish line now. And here they come again. Leader being very smooth, but not leaving any gap for Greg Kelly to get down the inside. In fact, Kelly falling into the clutches, I should say, of Damien Roddy. Then it's Willis. Sonia Files a little bit of a gap back to what looks like Bruton and Dalton there. 2 black cars, very similar. Fernandez leading this group, and now we're on board. There's number 14, his countryman John Blackman, but Blackman goes around and just completely the wrong way. Managed to correct it, but it went back the other way, collected another competitor. Very unfortunate there. Here's Fernandez now, round the left-hander, heading for the right-hander. On board with him again. He's been getting quicker all day. These Portuguese drivers, in fact, won an indoor karting event early in the year, but the frighteners on the regular drivers, so they've been progressing well as the season has gone on. Here he comes to Dunlop corner, right onto the inside curb, out to the outside. Lap 8 now, and it's Colin Deering from Skerries, and somebody just launching the car down the inside of him, and a little bit of contact on the way out. Very aggressive battles all the way down the field, and that's in fact number 23. That's Mark Roach, the man we've been on board with. We said his driving was getting a little bit more urgent, but certainly he wasn't hanging around there. Right down the inside into turn 1, and these 2 guys having a great battle. So the race being stopped. Here's what happened again, just getting a little bit sideways, swapping ends, collecting another car, and unfortunately parked in a dangerous place. So that gives Tristan Quinn the win from Greg Kelly, Damien Roddy, Mark Willis and Sonia Files.
Well, that's it from Mondello Park today. Another spectacular day's racing here, and the Strikers didn't fail to deliver as always. We'll see you next time.
Premier Series in association with Dunboyne Castle, Dalco and Urban Images.
Hi and welcome to Irish Premier Motor Racing at Mondello Park. Today we've got all the best action from race 2, featuring the Havilland Strikers, Porsches, Formula Shanes and of course Formula Libras. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic day's racing. Tristan Quinn, you're reigning champion and you're currently top of the leaderboard for the Strikers. Are you all set for race 2 today?
Yep, it should be a good one. We've got a wet track just after a big downpour there, so that'll add a bit of excitement to the races. They've all been dry this year, so a wet one will be a bit of crack.
Mark Willis, you're one of the youngest drivers out on the track today for the Strikers. How did you get into motor racing?
I got in through a friend in school who got into it, Daniel. He's not racing this year, he's off at pilot school, but he just gave me a shot one day and I took it for a spin up the road and I got hooked ever since. So this is my third year at the moment. So
brilliant. And how's it going for you?
Yeah, great time. Last year I won the Phoenix Spark both races, and this year I'm getting off to an alright start. I'm third in the championship, but I'm fourth on the grid today, so hopefully it'll go well from there.
Martin Layden is the CEO of Chevron National Lubricants. Martin, this is your second year in sponsorship of the Stryker class.
It is indeed. I actually thought it might have been my third year, but it feels as though we've been involved with this sport for quite some time.
Well, of course, it's terrific from everybody involved to have such a prestigious sponsor. Has it been good for you as a company?
Absolutely. When you consider that this is the layman's sport, the cost of entry to the Stryker Championship is at low cost. It brings in good guys that we are involved with in the workshops, right down to the executives from the airline companies, and that's always very interesting when they can bring such a variety of participants into the sport.
Getting ready to go now, 15 laps of the national circuit, the 5-second board being prepared. We're on board there with Alan Watkins on the second row of the grid. Reigning champion Tristan Quinn on pole position. Sonia Files alongside him, but look at young Mark Willis from the second row of the grid already alongside the leaders and taking the lead. Great stuff from him in the green car, down the outside of everybody, and takes the lead. Copybook start from him. Tristan Quinn in second now. Sonia Files dropped back. It looks like Watkins got down the inside of her. Great grid of Havilland Strikers coming through. Here's young Willis going through, as we said, Quinn next up in a full grid of 1800cc Strikers. On board now with Watkins. Great roar from the Z-Tech engine in these cars. He's following Quinn down into second gear for the second apex here, and Quinn will certainly want to get his way back past Willis. He started from pole, but he's under pressure already. Good run up the hill out of turn 3 now from Watkins. Grabs third gear. He's alongside with the off-camber corner coming up. The entry to the S is discoverireland.com, and he's on the outside for that one. Down into second gear. Looks like he's made the move. Stick indeed he has. Himself and Willis both very wide, a little bit offline, but look at this river of water unsettles the cars, and a huge sideways moment for both as they head up towards Dunlop Corner. But Willis not even defending there. Very confident young driver, and very much a man to watch in this class. There's Sonia Files now down the inside of Tristan Quinn. She takes third place. Very much one of the quickest lady racing drivers in the country at the moment. Comes from a great stock, of course. Ken Files from Formula Libra, her father, and former Dunlop supercar champion Jonathan Files, her brother. And there's 98, that's Andy Dalton, a man very much involved in the running of this class. And they put on great promotions to entice drivers into the class. It's worked well. We're on board with Orbach. You can hear the car just lifting an inside rear wheel there through turn 2. They tend to do that, and it's a little bit greasy. In fact, it's a lot wetter than you think out there. You can see the spray from cars in front, down into third gear. Everybody twitching around and not going for second, leaving the car in third there. and just doesn't sound great pulling up the hill there in third gear, but probably a little bit safer in these slippery conditions to let that torque do the work. Look at Sonia Files now working away at the steering wheel, and she's certainly not afraid of the conditions. She's closing in on second place man Watkins. Has to rebuff a challenge there. Quinn having to go to the outside, and Sonia staying on the inside defending there as they went up towards Dunlop corner. That's number 5, James Marr, and he's having a go there midfield. And look at this, Watkins going for the lead now, and for the first time Willis having to defend as they go under the Holiday on Ireland bridge. Willis early on the brakes, Watkins later, but he's on the outside. Classic Mondello stuff, wheel to wheel action, having a go right round the outside there, Watkins, but looks like Willis has it all in control. They grab third gear and just turn through this corner, really up on their tiptoes. It's very slippy, as you can see, having to use the curbs on the way out. Not a good place to be in the wet conditions of Mondello Park. A lot of suspension movement. Just look at the left-hand wheel there on Watkins' car moving around. Down in the second gear now. Good run up out of the hill from Willis there. That's number 14. That's Blattman, one of the Portuguese drivers. He's having a great battle there in midfield. Still has the novice cross on that car, but going very well. Back to the lead. A little bit of a gap this time for Willis. Then it's Watkins, Quinn, Sonia Files. Looks like Colin Deering next up. There's Dalton and Damien Roddy right with him. On board with Orbach again, getting very sideways. The car very unsettled, just managing to hold on to that big armful of opposite lock there as he goes through the standing water at the second part of the S's. He's also having to defend, somebody having a go at him from behind. We can't see that obviously. We can see his mirror, but we can't see another car behind him, but he's pushing very hard. Third gear now, out onto the main straight. 1800cc Z-Tech Ford engines in these cars. They're very, very light. They do get a little bit skittish in wet conditions. Now a challenge for second place. Tristan Quinn down the outside, very experienced driver. Remember, he's the reigning champion. He's having a go right round the outside. But Watkins not being very generous with the tarmac and just leaving him out there straight away. He's being attacked by Sonia Files. Colin Deering also wants a piece of this action. So a bad day so far for Quinn. And Watkins there throwing the car down into turn 3. Down into second gear, just lining it up. A bit late getting on the power. You have to be. It's very, very wet down there. And he really will want to get the head down now and try and chase down young Mark Willis. Willis going well in the championship, but he hasn't had a win so far this year, so this could be his first win of the year if he keeps it all together. Both cars still moving around quite a lot of driving in these Strikers. They do tend to move around. Here we go again, on and off the power, just trying to keep the car in a straight line and going right to the outside to let the car run out, use as much tarmac as possible, heading up towards Dunlop corner. Willis doing it all right there, just clipping the apex, staying off the exit curb. You really do need to do that. A little bit slippy. If you put a back wheel on that, you can go around very easily. Sonia Files now up to third place. That's 14 Blattman again, the man we spoke about earlier, and his car also moving around a little bit as he goes through the standing water in the Haviland Stryker up towards Dunlop corner. Now there's Colin Deering, a man moving up and bringing 98 with him. That's Andy Dalton. Number 10, that's Orbach right in the middle of that battle as well. He's side by side with another competitor now heading towards turn 3. Gets up that place and a round almost goes around very sideways. It changes down. That can tend to lock the back wheels very easily on these cars. They get out of shape. He seems well able to hang on to it there, but certainly would want to be at the top of his game. You can see in his mirror now 2 more Haviland Strikers right behind him. So great battles all the way down the grid. Here he comes a little bit quick into the S's. Huge sideways moment, just manages to hang on to it. But there's drifting in Mondello in 2 weeks' time. Maybe he should come back for that. Certainly not afraid to throw the car sideways. And here's Willis still extending the lead, doing it all right. Watkins a little bit more aggressive up on the inside of that curb. Sonia Files still tracking him now. Great battle for second place in the Haviland Strikers. A little bit of a gap back to Tristan Quinn now. This is the battle we're talking about for second place. 77 Watkins, 27 Sonia Files, the CBL Motor Factories car. Now Deering beginning to give Tristan Quinn the work over, and that looks like 98 Andy Dalton right with them. We're back on board again with second place man. Sense the urgency in his driving, trying to shake off Sonia Files but not lose too much ground to the leader. Down to turn 3 again, doesn't use the whole track there. He really is being a little bit defensive. Down into second gear, you can see Willis's car moving around there, very skittish at the back end. Really, you do have to be very smooth with these cars once there are damp conditions out there. Sonia Files just tracking Watkins, no real moves yet. We can expect a big attack from her, but she's locked it inside front there, lucky not to go wide. They're both pushing very, very hard, and in fact the leader not getting away too much considering these two are battling, but again up onto the inside curb and having to wind on the opposite lock as a result. So Watkins pushing very, very hard. Brave this time, not defending, still going to chase on, hoping he can just get back up there to young Willis. But Mark Willis not putting a foot wrong so far in this one. Completes another lap down under the Holiday Bridge. Fourth gear now for us. We're on board still with Watkins. And still having to be a little bit defensive. Doesn't want to leave the door open because Sonia Files will just throw her car down the inside and she sees half a gap there. Very aggressive driver, Sonia Files. And of course Watkins knows that. They've been racing all season long together. Again, just trying to stay off that exit curve at turn 2 into fourth again on the way down towards turn 3. Not quite as aggressive this time. Doesn't want to get the car out of shape. He might be able to get it turned in for the second bit of turn 3, and again Sonia would be alongside, so it's a defensive race for Watkins so far as he grabs third gear again on the way back up the hill. An off-camber corner, very tricky in any motor car, but the Stryker's especially skittish there when they come down into that one. That's number 7, Johnny Lynch, and 23 battling away with him. That's Mark Roach from Dunleary. So good battle between those two. On board again with Orbach back in the midfield. Doesn't get quite as sideways, just as I say, it almost goes around at the second bit of the S's, and that's not a nice place to go off at Mondello Park. Third gear corner, flat out in the dry, obviously not so in the wet. That's 88 Damien Roddy in front of him, former auto tester. A little bit of a disappointing day for him. Usually would be expected to be on the front row of the grid in the Alan Byrne racing car. Not going quite so well today, but his teammate, young Mark Willis, is doing it all right up in front. And it's Watkins Files, and that looks like Deering down the inside. Good move, but just carried a little bit too much speed. Went wide, and Quinn takes the place back. So great stuff. There's 23 getting sideways. That's 87 round the outside. 87 Niall Foley. That's actually Sonia Files' husband, so he's in this race too. And he's in a fraught midfield battle there with number 23, Mark Roach. So he's caught up on this gang now, and he wants to get down the inside, but they're all moving all over the place there as they head up towards Dunlop Corner. A little bit of a crowded track in front of him. So Willis, it is the battle now for third place. Sonia Files up in second place, and very aggressive stuff from Watkins, and just spins Quinn around. Nothing Quinn could do about it. And just a passenger, we're on board again, and just connects with him. Gets on the power, there's no two ways about it. He did lift a little bit, but the damage was done. And round goes our reigning champion Tristan Quinn. So oblivious to all this up front, the green car of Mark Willis. Sonia Files in second place. Big gap back now to Colin Deering in third. Then it looks like 88 Damien Roddy, so a good race from these guys. Then it's Watkins recovering. Doesn't look like he's got any damage to his car after that. So Willis it is, all on his own now at Dunlop Corner, number 72, the gearboxman.co.uk car. Checkered flag for him, and it's a win for Mark Willis. He'll be absolutely delighted with that one. And watch out for one of his trademark drifts here on the slowdown lap for the crowd and the marshals. Here we go. 72, another race win for him, and there he goes, sideways as ever, Mark Willis.
Mark, first place in race 2. You started 4th on the grid. How did you make your way up?
Well, I just watched the lights and had the car ready to rock and roll, and everyone else had a slippy start because it was still kind of greasy out on the track, but I just got a brilliant start, went up around Sonia, and then pulled in front of Tristan. He wasn't there, so, and then just led it from there.
Third place Colin Deering, second place Sonia Files, and a great win for Mark Willis.
We've had some great racing here at Mondello Park. Join us.
The Irish Premier Series in association with Dunboyne Castle, Dalco and Urban Images.
Welcome back to Mondello Park for day 2 of the Leinster Trophy meeting, and as with the Formula Shanes, Tristan Quinn has already sealed the Haviland Stryker title. Edel is going to have a word with him.
Tristan Quinn, you won the championship yesterday.
Went well yesterday. Got a win. Mark, who's in second now, he had a bit an unlucky off, which finished it yesterday. I thought it would go to today, but it should be on for a good race today as well.
And where are you on the grid?
4th today. So with everything over, I think there should be a bit of crack between the whole lot of us. Last race of the season and all,
So you're hoping just to finish in style today and give your supporters and the crowd something to cheer about?
Yeah, exactly. If everyone gets to the line and we all have a bit of crack, that's what it's all about. Yeah.
Stryker class have used some novel methods to introduce new people to the class. Edel discusses it with some of the class organisers.
Andrew Dalton and Des Bruton, you're here today with the Strykers. There's a lot of cars knocking around. Just tell us a little bit about how that happened.
Yeah, it's our highest number actually, 24 cars in the grid today, and we're hoping to have 32 next year. The class went very low in numbers a couple of years ago. Myself and Des and Damien Roddy took it over. We did a big bash. We wrote to all the licence holders. We got more people interested in it. Our TV coverage has really helped us get the class up and going again. And really we had, we do the likes of the catering at it, feed all our drivers, feed all their friends. It's a real family atmosphere here. The guys can bring down their wives, friends, stuff like that. So it's really, that's the way it's grown.
Yeah. And Des, tell us any plans for next year to develop it a little bit more, maybe?
Yeah, well, as Andy says, Edel, we're pushing on to try and get more and more in. We'd hope by next year to have over 30 cars in the class. We've a lot of initiatives to get new people into the class, and that's about it. Yeah.
So as Andrew said, there's just a little bit of hospitality going on here behind us, just giving a little bit back to everyone.
Yeah, we think the hospitality is a big help. I mean, not just to our own people, but it means we can have some of the officials in for a bit of lunch, and it just builds the profile of the class and keeps it to the fore. The TV coverage has been a huge help. We have a very good website, and we find when the TV program goes out, we get a lot of hits on the website, and then we start to get calls from people who are interested in the class. And then we have details of cars that are for sale and how to build a new car, and we've got a lot of new people into racing.
On the grid now with Haviland Strikers. There's our pole man, number 88, Damien Roddy, but we're on board with our new champion, Tristan Quinn. Outside of the front row there is Andy Dalton, the man we just spoke to. So the organisers right at the front, they can race as well as they can organise. Bright green car in the second row of the grid is young Mark Willis, very much the young charger, and he splits the front row on the run down to Honda. Wisely perhaps backs out of it as Quinn tries to go right round the outside of Roddy. Let's see if he can pull that one off. He has done, right round the outside of turn 1, and that's perhaps why he's the new champion. So great stuff there from Tristan Quinn. He leads the Haviland Strikers on the way out to turn 3. A big effort from 88 Damien Roddy. Really driving well this weekend, and he's running for Alan Byrne's team, as indeed is the third place car of Mark Willis. And the championship yesterday was between Willis and Quinn, but Quinn managed to get the win and seal that one. And bodywork in the air in the background, that's possibly Des Bruton, I think, one of the class organisers, right in the middle of it. So bonnet removed from his car, but no problem there, he can still keep going. She must have just touched the back of a fellow competitor on the way out of turn 3 and loosened it off. Long right-hander now. Here we are on board, flat in third gear. Tristan Quinn grabs fourth gear, 1800cc Z-Tech Ford engine, very little weight. We're doing well over 100 miles an hour. Braking very, very late now as he comes down to these two right-handers and does it all right. Really, you have to have a lot of car control to drive these cars quickly. They move around an awful lot. There's 72 young Mark Willis, very much a man to watch in the future. We've seen him before on The Limit Sports, and a very talented young driver he is. It all went wrong for him, unfortunately, yesterday. Didn't get a chance to battle it out. He qualified badly and then had a spin mid-race, so didn't get a chance to have a go at Tristan Quinn. He'll want to try and get revenge today, but Quinn is where he's at his most dangerous. He's out in front, but Roddy certainly looks like he wants to challenge him today. So great battles all the way down. There's 98 Andy Dalton, and number 10 right with him, that's Alan Orbach from Killiney. So everybody having a go. In fact, Dalton closing right in there on that fourth place as they come out of Dunlop Corner now and down to start lap 2. So 88, the danger man now in second place. Damien Roddy comes from an auto testing background and has gone very well, very consistent, but we haven't seen him with this type of pace before in Haviland Strikers. A big battle there. That looks like Des Bruton, number 90, just losing a place on the approach to Honda Corner, and somebody just getting down the inside of him. Andy Dalton all over the inside curve. Then it's number 10. That's Orbach, we mentioned him before. That looks like the Star car, the Star newspaper car of Watkins, coming up from the back there, qualified very badly, but watch out for him, very much a front runner normally. Somebody going very wide there, Deering. That's Greg Kelly, number 6. Got the car out of shape there on the first apex. Not a nice place to go off. Very high speed. Speaking of high speed, we're on the same corner again. The long right-hander, and a big wobble in third gear there, and grabs fourth. Doesn't lift out of it at all, Tristan Quinn. But we could feel ourselves getting out of shape there as we came through that long right-hander. But that's why he's under pressure. And here comes Roddy down the inside. Great stuff from Damien Roddy. We really haven't seen him drive like this before. Very, very aggressive. Car number 88, and that was a copybook maneuver. Moves to the right to defend it, but he doesn't have to. He did it all correctly, and now he leads. And let's see if Tristan Quinn can fight back. I don't think he'll take it lying down. Beautiful drift there from 88 Roddy going through the left-hander, but doesn't lose any time. And right there with him now is young Mark Willis, and he really will want to get in amongst them. So Tristan Quinn finding himself demoted. I wonder can he fight back. I suspect he can. He really does have huge pace in this car, but Roddy going so well right over the inside curve there. Doesn't even defend. Very confident stuff from him at Dunlop Corner. Quinn doesn't attack, right, goes to the outside, takes the same line, and Roddy in fact, if anything, eking away. A little bit of a gap now, but I think Quinn got a good run out of Dunlop Corner and is closing that down now. Good battle for fourth place. Dalton right in there. Here's Quinn, we're on board with him. Great shots now behind Roddy. Turn 2, grabs fourth gear, gets a good run out of turn 2. He's going to have a look down the outside. It's a hairy manoeuvre. We've only seen very, very few people get away with this over the years. Ayrton Senna being won 25 years ago at this very meeting, round the outside of Joey Green in that turn 2 to win the Leinster Trophy. Side by side now, and a good run out of turn 3 for Quinn. He's on the wrong side. It's an off-camber corner, and I think if he was on the national track, he might have a chance of getting around the outside. We don't go back to the right, we stay on the left, and this time number 88 hangs on to the lead, but he really is having to work hard. This time, Quinn's got alongside on the approach to 7A. He's down the inside, slows them right down, and there's nothing Roddy can do. Willis right with them this time, but certainly a great battle at the front of the Strikers, and Willis getting a big drift as he tries to hang on. It looks like Dalton now up to 4th place, and in fact the car with the high roll cage, we spoke about him earlier, that's Watkins coming all the way from the back, so he's having a great run. That's the red car, you can see it with the high roll cage coming towards the pack in the background, going very, very well. And a big wide entry there to the corner from Willis, trying to just gain a little bit of ground on the exit. And this time a good exit from Roddy, and going to line up, can he line up Quinn, get down the inside? He's got the front wheels alongside, he can. Another great move there from Damien Roddy to take the lead. But it looks like Quinn's got back up the inside, a little bit of wheel banging there out onto the main straight. Classic Mondello stuff there. Roddy takes it up the inside, a little bit wide on the exit, and Quinn just got back down the inside, and there's just no room for Mark Willis to challenge them. They're side by side now, and Roddy going to have a look right round the outside. I wonder, can he carry this off? I don't think he can for turn 2, but a brave effort from him, and certainly these two seem very evenly matched. Just as I say, a bit of a wobble there from Roddy, gets out of shape, has to defend from Willis now on the run down to turn 3, and this may have given a chance for our leader to escape, but I don't know. Roddy seems to have plenty of pace. The first 3 now really going at each other. This is classic Mondello stuff, and great racing from the Strikers. So first, second and third, we usually see a lot more cars, but this is where the action is at this race. We've got to stay following these because it seems to be changing every corner. That's somebody locking up tyres there. I think that's Dalton trying hard. In fact, Dalton beginning to close in on Mark Willis now. There's Watkins closing in on that gang. Christy Quinn again, just grabbing Corker, putting the head down. Really a sign that the driver's trying hard, urging the car to go quicker. Doesn't have to block that time. Maybe he should have, because here comes Roddy down the inside, all locked up. He might as well have blown the horn to get Quinn out of the way there. Really was a kamikaze maneuver down the inside. Locked it all up, and he's not giving Quinn a whole lot of room on the run back up towards the right-left complex. So Damien Roddy really driving out of his skin today. Quinn having a look back, but he's on the outside. Now Willis having a go, and Willis has got right round the outside. It's a left-hander, the next one. Quinn should be able to fight back, but Willis going to be so late in the brakes. He's challenging for the lead on the outside. Great stuff for young Mark Willis, but he's going to be boxed out. That's almost a hairpin left, a long left-hander, and Quinn reasserts himself in second place. All of a sudden, it's a 5-car battle for the lead, and Quinn all over the place. Big drift out over the curbs. Willis challenging hard now, trying to close the door, but Quinn got back down the inside. A big stab on the outside from Andy Dalton. It's Colin Deering is the other car in this group, and he's managed to get up to the lead group as well. Almost side by side now. It's 88 on the inside, number 60 on the outside, coming on to the last lap, and it really is all action. You couldn't write a script better than this. Can he hold on for 2.5 miles and get the first win of the year for Damien Roddy? Because I think you'll feel Willis and, in fact, new champion Quinn have done all the winning, and a great battle there between Deering side by side with series organiser Andy Dalton, and Roddy of course involved in the organisation of this class as well, so he'll be absolutely delighted if he can get a win at such a prestigious meeting as this. And there's that battle again. Number 36 Colin Deering really having a go at the black car of Andy Dalton. Last lap now, Quinn drifting the car all over the place. He really knows he's got about 2 miles, 1.5 miles to go if he's going to relieve Roddy of the lead. He really has got to be on maximum attack. And there's car number 1, that's Andrew Carstall from Clondalkin, just locking up, sliding into the gravel, one of the novices, and that's his race over. We'll have yellow flags at Dunlop Corner on the last lap. There'll be no overtaking there, so Quinn is going to have to move a little bit earlier. That looks like Blatman, one of our Portuguese drivers. Not sure if that's a 4 or a 14, some imaginative work with tank tape there. If it's number 4, it's Fernandez. If it's 14, it's Blatman. Either way, they're Portuguese. Last lap now for our leaders, and Roddy pushing so hard. He really will want to win this one, but right behind him, and look how defensive Roddy is, going right over to the inside, and he has to. Quinn late on the brakes, goes down the outside. Side by side, Quinn almost gets it back to the other side. Quinn really giving him the work over, and can he get down the inside? Roddy trying to close the door. Quinn almost gets down the inside. Roddy locks an inside front, goes wide. Again, Quinn is alongside. He should have the inside line. They're heading towards the left-hander. 2 corners left. Yellow flags at Dunlop. I think he's done it. There's yellow flags here. No overtaking. This is great stuff from 88 Damien Roddy. And Willis having a go on the outside now. He'll be looking. Oh my God! Look up the inside. Andy Dalton. Everybody having a go. Checkered flag, number 88, Damien Roddy takes his first win at the biggest race meeting of the year. He's delighted, punches the air. Number 88, Roddy for Alan Byrne Racing, takes the big win. Tristan Quinn next up, then it's Mark Willis side by side, just pipping number 98, Andy Dalton, across the line.
Damien Roddy, congratulations. You've just had a great win there for the Strikers. I mean, it was a fantastic race.
Thank you very much, Adele. No, it was a very difficult race. It's the first one I've won this season. I think I've been 5 times this year. Again, the Stryker class is probably the most competitive class for most motor racing this year, and hopefully we can continue next year, maybe have a chance at the championship next year.
There's confirmation of the Haviland Strikers results. Join us after the break for more action from Mondello Park.
The Irish Premier Series in association with Dunboyne Castle, Dalco and Urban Images.